This conference will now be recorded.
I'm going to call the Public Works meeting of December 5th, 2022 to order at 5:02 p.m. I'm Ken Poisson, 6th District Councilman and Chairman of the Public Works Committee. I'll take a motion to approve the minutes from November 7th.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. Up next is Public Works Director. Renee has emailed her report out to us ahead of time, as always, to help expedite the meetings. Does anybody have any questions for Renee?
Renee, can you tell us a little more about the LED lighting projects? What's the update on that?
We are scheduled to do the field lights at DeLuca and Short Beach. We've got the proposal, we've got the contracts. We were just going back and forth over a few of the engineering requirements. But Musco is going to be doing them. They're the same people that did the lights at Benel. So yeah, as soon as we've hammered out just those finite details, they're ready to go.
Oh, that's good. Great news.
Is
Now,
that weather dependent?
Yeah, it will be somewhat weather dependent. We were kind of hoping they would get started and get a lot of it done before the weather turns on us. As long as they could pull their equipment up onto the grass, before snow, they should be able to get some work done. The snow will be the problem.
Right, and they're not driving across Chico soccer field.
No.
Right.
No, these are, yeah, they'll come in close to where the baseball field entrance is, kind of like hugging up against that fence line where people park for Blues on the Beach.
and one other thing, Renee, what's 134 perfect attendance?
That's contractual payouts that they get annually. So we go through all the employees who had perfect attendance the year prior, and we, have to put together their worksheets and make sure that they get paid out accordingly, or if they're going to use it by the end of December.
Renee, I have a question. If you're all set, Bill.
Oh, set. Thanks.
Thank you. Renee, what is the wall repair for Longbrook Park? Is that the Brewster Pond or is that the Lower Pond Bridge wall repair?
I believe it is the Lower Pond repair. I actually just signed a permit because we have to go through some DEP permitting process to do the work. So that is for the Lower Pond.
And is that, so that will be done in 2023 or is that?
I'm not sure. It's dependent on the permits and stuff. I just signed it last week. I think we're still pushing to get it done before snow and before 2023. I just don't know. It all depends on when we get the document back from the state.
That'd be great. And do we have a cost for how much that would cost it, or we're not there?
We're not there yet. We're still evaluating what needs to be done. And once we get the permit that they can go in there and look at it, then we will get a cost and proceed.
Great, thank you so much. And is there anything about the ADA compliance of the walkway?
No.
By the dam in the upper pond?
Not at this point, because we're not sure what the cost is going to be for the pond repairs, which are priority. So
Yep.
We're not sure how far that is going to go. I mean, what you could see visually is one thing, but we're not sure what's beyond that. So we didn't tackle anything else until we get our hands around what this piece of the project is going to cost.
Okay. And with the actual wall repair, would that include the dredging of the waterways, or is that a separate project that would have to happen?
That's a major separate project. That's more than our budget could ever cover right now, because it's not
Right.
just the dredging, it's the disposing of everything, because it'll be considered hazardous. That's a major, major project that could get quite costly.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much, Renee. Next is John, report of the town engineer, Mr. Casey.
Hello, how are you?
All right, and you?
Very well. We have 3 projects that we're requesting additional fees for consultants. I'm sorry, 2 are consultants, 1 is the contractor. First is Broad Street Bridge. This is for environmental testing and design and specifications for 2 parts of the environmental potential contamination on the bridge. One is the bridge is located immediately adjacent to the Ray Bestis Superfund site, and that contamination potentially exists from Ferry Creek and from the groundwater plume that emanates from Raymark facilities. So we need to rule out, or at least try to quantify the amount of contamination that we might have to deal with during construction. In addition to that, the state of Connecticut DOT requires an environmental assessment for asbestos within the roadway of Ferry Boulevard, because they have some experience of some asbestos occurring in their right of way. So they require all projects to do an environmental study. So in order to do that work, we got a proposal from STV, from their consultant, it was TRC, to do the work for $55,170. And that is a not to exceed, because we think that they put everything into their proposal and that maybe we don't need everything, but we really don't know until we get started. So that would be kind of an allowance or a budget to work against. And then as we start to work through the details with the DOT and the EPA, we'll come in less than that, is my guess. You're muted, Ken.
And now I'm not muted. Thanks. Do you need a motion for that at this time, John?
Yeah, motion to recommend to the town council.
Very good. Before Aileen put her sign up, would someone like to make that motion?
So moved to go to the town council with a favorable recommendation.
I'll second.
Okay, is there any further discussion or questions for John? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the chair votes aye. Motion carries unanimously. Go ahead, John.
The next item is for West Broad Street. That project, as you know, is done. We're still closing it out, though. So there's a lot of paperwork going on. And one of the items that has not been dealt with yet is during construction, there were some conflicts with utilities and changes to the designs that were needed to, whatever the field condition was. And when those things were happening, we had to use different materials, and we were left over with materials that couldn't be used. And they were specially made for the project for the most part. And the contractor couldn't return them. The couple items that could be returned, they were on site for so long, the manufacturer didn't want them back. So we took possession of the materials, but the contractor did purchase them and didn't get paid for them on the project because he didn't incorporate them into the work, actually. So in this case, we have to pay him for the materials. So we have invoices for all the materials, and there's no markups, just the cost of materials that we're paying. There's probably about 4 or 5 items that we needed, and it totals $18,249.39. I would note too that on the project, we're at a net negative of change orders to date.
Would someone like to make that motion?
Yes, so moved to go to town council with a favorable recommendation.
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion, questions for John?
John, do you think these materials can be used in the future in other projects?
I think some of them can be. Some of them might not be able to. For instance, there was elliptical pipe called out on the job, and
Can it be sold to someone else?
it's an unusual type of pipe, and there wasn't a lot of it that we had to take. So it's probably not something we're going to incorporate. It could be used in other ways than pipe. It could be used for, if a solution warranted it, we could use it for some other situation. But it's probably not that practical to use as pipe. So, but the others, we had some granite curb that we could reuse. We had some reinforced concrete pipe, 15-inch that we could reuse. So for the most part, I think we could reuse it.
Sounds good. And then this pretty much will close out the project and be maybe a little bit under budget.
Yeah, we are coming in under budget. We're actually coming in, I don't know if we'll end up being a net negative in total change orders, but we're pretty close to that right now. So, and we're under budget overall. So we're in good shape, but we do have to clean up these last couple of items.
Thank you.
Hey, all those in favor?
Aye.
And then, oops.
And chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. John?
And then lastly, we have a consultant, Langen Engineering, who's doing review and update of our GIS map. And their contract was awarded a couple of years ago, and they've been working on it for 2 years or so. We originally estimated 2,400 maps that they would be reviewing. We gave them 3,000 maps in total to date, but they were able to do the work on 2,600 of maps. So we're able to do more work than the original number of maps we estimated, but not more than we totally gave them. And then we continue to have some maps that we want them to review. So we wanted to amend their contract to have them finish up the work that we've given them, and then to continue into the next fiscal year with the work that they're doing. So what they're doing is they're reviewing our record maps for storm drainage, and in some case sanitary, and linking them to our GIS map, and then also identifying whether easements exist for those maps, and also they are doing editing of the GIS map itself, which wasn't part of what the original scope is, but they were able to do it, and will continue to do it. So we think we're getting a good value, but we just need to continue to do more work on the project. So we asked them for a budget. So there's a budget number of $16,000 to do work through 2023.
Would someone like to make that motion?
Yes, so moved to go to town council with a favorable recommendation.
I'll second.
Hey, any further discussion or questions for John?
It's Caitlin. Mr. Casey, is this similar to in our last meeting, there was an allotment for funding for the access road for the FEMA maps, or is this separate?
This has nothing to do with the FEMA map. This is just for our maintaining our infrastructure and asset management, basically, for our stormwater piping. You had some questions about the Limwa line that was referred to the town council. Town council approved that study, and if you want me, I can answer some of the questions you had. Specifically, I think you were wondering if the Limwa line were to move, whether that would take them out of the flood zone or make them so that they couldn't have flood insurance. And the answer is it doesn't remove them from the flood zone whatsoever. They're still within the flood zone. The limo line would only affect the design standards to which they would have to build within that flood zone. So they'll still be eligible for insurance, still be required to have insurance if they were to have a mortgage and the bank required a flood insurance to be purchased. And they would be eligible to receive that insurance and be compensated for their damages as long as everything was done in accordance with FEMA requirements and covered by FEMA policy.
Thank you. Ken, if you want, we can vote on this, and then under old business, I just had other questions. I don't want to.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we just saved these questions for old business, new business, whatever it is. Let's just vote on this first. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, chair votes aye. Motion carries unanimously. John, do you have any more action items?
No more action items.
All right, any highlights from your report that you'd like to highlight?
Just to let you know, we did our meeting today. It's still going on actually down at Lordship Boulevard for a public workshop to review the Circa's coastal resiliency study for the South End. So that I was down there earlier, and they have a fairly good turnout of people coming in, and hopefully as soon as the work, 5 o'clock comes around, people are out of work, they'll get some more public input to that project. The MS4 project is, we're hoping to get some work done this winter at the Perry House and at the Bunnell High School. I met with both administrators of both facilities, and there's no issues with that. But we wouldn't be finishing up. If we started any work this winter, we'd be finishing up in the spring. And then at Bunnell, we'll be doing the underground work underneath the parking lot in the summertime after school's out, in coordination with the parking lot paving project the town will be doing. So I don't have anything more specific unless there's any questions.
Does anybody have any general questions for John? Caitlin, you had a question before?
Thank you, Ken. I'm almost home. Mr. Casey, my question from the Public Works meeting and then also in the Town Council meeting was, I thought that those properties along Access Road, as it was described to us, it wouldn't be only new construction of buildings that would be going up. It would be existing property owners would have to comply if the current FEMA, I guess, regulations for building went into effect. So my concern was, if we weren't in compliance, would it negatively impact any of those property owners, specifically on Access Road? But you gave an explanation. So if there's anything else, just to clarify.
Yeah, it's not, I mean, the line is not just Access Road, it meanders. I gave a map. I think we'll be giving you a map that shows the line, so it's pretty clear about where we're talking about. We're not, the line exists, the regulations exist, so it's just a matter of if that line is accurately placed on the map or not. So we're not making anyone doing anything. We're not jeopardizing anybody. It would only be better off for certain people if the line moved. If we can get it to move, some people will benefit because they'll have a certain amount of less restrictive building requirements placed on them.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, John. The next item on the agenda is our next regular meeting date is Tuesday, January 3rd. All right, obviously Monday, January 2nd is a holiday. So our next meeting is Tuesday, January 3rd, 5 o'clock. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The chair votes aye.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Renee.
We are adjourned at
Thank you.
5:22. Happy holidays, everybody.
Same to you.
Happy
You too.
holidays.